When you're getting rid of toxic people in your life, you have to look at your circle of friends. Especially if you're a woman, you need to take a close look at your girlfriends. I'm running a series on how to call in your soulmate, and the very first step is to clean up your life and cut out the toxic. So often as women, we have toxic female friends. The caveat is that we all are toxic and we all have toxic traits. So you have to decide if the good outweighs the bad. I by no means think that you need to be cutting out all feminine relationships in your life, because we as women need them so much. And they are so important to our awakening and to our evolution and growth. But you got to get real savvy as to whether or not the relationship is doing more harm than good. We've gotten inoculated to some extent to this toxicity because from an early age, girls start to be mean girlish towards one another. The whole queen bees and wannabes dynamic. And so as grown women, we often turn a blind eye to rather toxic behavior. And would you believe that having toxic female friends will prevent you from calling in the love of your life? In this video, I'm going to go over the top signs that a girlfriend is toxic. And I will say that in calling in my soulmate in the last year, a substantial step that I took to do that was eliminating toxic relationships, girlfriends from my life. And it was really hard to do because some of these women I had known for decades. But it got to the point where I realized that having them in my life was making me tolerate bad behavior. It was preventing me from really seeing red flags in men and also allowing toxic behavior from men. If you have toxic girlfriends, then you more than likely have toxic situationships, toxic dating experiences, and toxic relationships with men. So the number one sign that a girlfriend is toxic is that they're not happy for you. They will often poke holes in your joy under the guise of protecting you. They're going to put on a show that they have the best of intentions for you. If you really dissect their behavior, you can see that in most cases, they are not happy for you and they are trying to get you to second guess the good things in your life. The second sign that a relationship is toxic is that they have dramatics with other people. They talk trash about other people in their life that they deem important or that have some priority. That's always a red flag that they're talking about you. Often we have friend group dynamics with toxic women, and you can see the way that they treat the other women in the friend group or how they talk about the other women in the friend group. That will always give you an indication as to whether or not you can trust them to hold your name in high regard. Another thing I always see is toxic women are often in abusive relationships with men. I made a whole video about this last year, but usually when women are really toxic to other women, it's because they're being abused in their main relationship and they have no way to work out that abuse or to cope with it. And so they take it out on the women in their lives. They use a lot of the same tactics that are happening in their relationship on their girlfriends. So blame shifting, gaslighting, projecting. You'll see that happen because they're dealing with that at home from the main man in their life. They can't just listen to you. They can't just hold space for you. There has to be some sort of ego involved in their interactions with you. So you go to them with some hardship you're having in your relationship and you just need a listening ear. They will take on the role of the sage wisdom giver, the advice giver, and their ego is totally wrapped up in you listening to their sage advice and taking it. They're not really there to just listen to you and comfort you and allow you to come to a determination on your own. They don't have good boundaries with others. You're constantly seeing them getting walked on by other people or them getting too involved in other people's lives and not acting with reasonable, good boundaries in their other relationships. That will show you that they are unable to honor your boundaries, and they will often be offended when you try to lay down boundaries with them because they don't have good boundaries in their life. In a friend group dynamic, you'll also see them puppeteering dramatics behind the scenes. So they're trying to get friends to gang up on each other. They get off on having the control and the power to create dramatics and fights and friction between other females in the friend group. Always a huge red flag, and you should step away from that person as quick as possible, and hopefully your other friends do as well, because that will absolutely be a cancer to your relationship, especially a strong group of female friends. One toxic person can create so many dramatics and ultimately poison the well so effectively that that group of women can't even hang out together anymore. I have personal experience with this. So the sooner that you can get that toxic person and you all can talk about it, that this person is causing dramatics and could actually be the cause of the breakup of this friend group or the contamination of the structure of this friend group, the better, because you need to get that cancer out. They're dishonest. Actions don't match words. You can see how they're telling somebody one thing or they're telling you one thing, and then you're seeing proof that that actually wasn't true. If they're being dishonest with you at least once or twice, you know that's going to be a long-running pattern in your friendship. And if they're being dishonest with other people, they're more than likely being dishonest with you too. They're often selfish and one-sided. They're only there for themselves. They have a userish type of energy. That is a toxic person. And the very last thing is that you can always count on is you just don't feel good during interaction with them and afterwards. Afterwards, you're guessing, you're asking yourself why you did certain things, or did I not do enough, or was I offensive? You don't feel uplifted, you don't feel good, you feel heavy, you feel weighed down, you have a lot of negative emotions. That's because they have negative energy and they have inflected it onto you, and now you're feeling bad about yourself when you leave their presence.